All right, you guys, good to see you. CJ Castle here with agewellblog.com. And as many of you guys know, I am a trainer at Iron Tribe Fitness, hence wearing the shirt. I can't think of a better place where if you want to expound on this and really change your body composition, to get good programming, a coach that keeps you accountable, and then all this information, and then more specifically if you need it. So come check us out, irontribe.com. And you can find a location near you, maybe a challenge for you, or become a member if you're looking for that. But if you're not, if you're looking for just some dietary information to get you started on taking the best path forward for your health and wellness, there is a way that you can determine how much food you need and what food works for you. And so that would be reverse engineering your diet, hence why the title of this video, the title of the corresponding page on agewellblog.com. So please look that up. The link should be down below the video. But I'm just going to kind of walk through this document that's on that link and kind of address questions that may come up, other information that I didn't type up so that you can have it. And this is just a long form video to describe to you what generally goes into a diet that I may recommend for a client. Okay, so this is the thinking that goes into that. So here, big picture, we're going to reverse engineer your diet, which means it can simply be described as using results to influence your practice. So the results of the diet to influence how we're dieting. Therefore, a measurement system of your goal value is required. So if you're focused on losing weight, you're going to want to track your weight. If you're focused on losing body fat percentage, you're going to want to track your body fat percentage. That's why at Iron Tribe, we use an InBody that easily tracks our body fat percentage so we can see how the diet and what we're doing in our activity level impacts our results. Okay, so the better the measurement, the easier it's going to be to see how your diet's affecting you. Okay, and here's the hack: by tracking your inputs, your food and your activity level, what you're doing during a day, either through some type of tracking device or just by kind of taking notes on what you do, you can take your results and simplify a very complex system. Okay, everything the body's doing, all of the physical things your body does to digest stuff, and all the chemicals and how those impact your whole digestive process into this really simple equation is basically you eat this and do these things and this happens. That's it. That's reverse engineering. So it may seem complex at points, but basically what you're doing is recording what you're eating and then seeing how it affects you and tracking it and using that to change your practice of either eating or activity or both if you want to combine the two and get your results quicker, right? So why this document? First, I want you to understand how the amount and type of food you eat impacts what your body does with it. The explanation here are as brief and pointed as I can make them while still giving you all that you need to become a master of your diet, or at least take a step towards becoming a master, right? Because a true master is always learning. By recording of your inputs and your results, i.e. food log and your weight or body fat percentage that you're tracking, in this way, if you realize an adverse effect of any food, think dairy or gluten for many people, this food can be avoided from here on out. So you just cut that out. That makes me feel bad. I know it because 2 hours later I felt bad after eating it. So I'm just not going to eat that anymore and then see if that problem resolves, right? It might be a deeper issue, but if it's not, it might just be a food issue. And then you can just fix that. And the amount of food you need to eat can be determined over time if you do not know that exactly. And so this is the way to do that. I'm going to give you a starting point, and then you can move from that starting point and do some different stuff depending on how you want to reach your goals or what your goals are, right? So a note on this: an InBody or body fat measurement of some type can be the best estimate for your BMR, basal metabolic rate. There are also calculators online that work relatively well. In my experience, the numbers I provide here in this document have worked surprisingly well for folks to give an educated guess of the calories you burn in a day, but not exactly. You will be able to get those numbers correct if you have some type of machinery that measures that. The most exact would be to immerse yourself in water and get your body fat measured that way. But a lot of us don't have thousands of dollars to put down on a really scientific measurement of our body fat percentage. So if that's not your case, you can just guesstimate and reverse engineer it and kind of get it from the hind end, right? It might take a couple months to get it perfect, a couple weeks if you're really into tracking it, but you can determine it like from the hind end, okay? Reverse engineering. So second, any diet will work if followed for a while, and then the body will adapt. I think that was out of the Obesity Code, the book. Check it out if you really want to dive deep. But for this reason, I will encourage you to take breaks or maintenance periods where you eat close to the calories you burn in a day. In other words, you give your body exactly what it wants on that day. And let's say I'm losing weight, right? So I'm really cutting my calories low. And then on that day or that week, if I want a maintenance period, I'm going to eat more calories, exactly how much I burn. Okay? Or same thing with if I'm trying to gain weight. So I usually eat above what my body actually burns. Then on those days, I'm going to tone it down a bit. So maybe I'm not firing like muscle production on every level that day, so I can get those processes a break. Okay. The most natural way to do this is with a fasted state that you're already in. When you wake up every morning, you have this meal in the morning that breaks your fast, hence breakfast, right? Break fast. But you can skip that and go to lunch if your body can take that. You can also go on maintenance periods during the weekend. That works for a lot of people for 1 or 2 days, depending on how strict you're being about your diet. You can also go 3 weeks of dieting and then 1 week off or 1 week on maintenance. And with the goal of that week being not to change your weight by more than a pound or two. Right? Just staying within that. Kind of gives your body a breather, especially if you're cutting calories. Your body will get used to running on the lower calories, right? So how much you burn every day might go down after a little bit. But we'll talk more about that later. In addition, I just want to say and clearly state for you, I am not a doctor. I have a precision nutrition certification. I'm a coach at a gym. I teach people how to move. I talk with people about diets all the time. I'm constantly talking with people about how to lose weight, but I am not a doctor. So please talk to your doctor before doing any dietary interventions. If you are healthy, likely none of the stuff here will impact you a lot in a bad way, but just to be safe, please make sure it's in accordance, especially if you're taking some type of medication or anything I may not know about. Make sure that you okay this with a doctor, or at least you get there okay. It's like, hey, I want to try some diet stuff. Yeah, you're fine to do that. Something like that. Okay. So without further ado, we'll move on to your diet guide. And this basically comes in 3 things that you need to have at least a brief understanding of to master your diet. Okay. Number 1 is you want to figure out your total energy burned in the course of a day. And that will differ day to day. Okay. The equation for this is basically your basal metabolic rate, which we can find kind of from your goal weight. Okay. That's the thing I like to use. You can think of it as your weight if you're a guy, at about 10% body fat, and if you're a female, at about 23% body fat. Those are healthy ranges for folks. But by all means, certain people sit better at like guys from 14%, or guys that sit lower at like 8%, some guys at 6%. It really depends on you. Same thing with ladies. You might sit better at 28%. You might sit better at 16%. It all depends. So I like going off of goal weight, and then remember, you can reverse engineer this stuff. So you track your weight, you track your body fat percentage. You can get that to move in the direction that you want over time, over learning yourself through your diet. So you're going to take your basal metabolic rate and you're going to multiply that by your activity factor, and that depends on the day, right? On a day that I'm more active, I'm going to need more food. On a day that I'm less active, I'm going to need less food. And we'll dive into all of this later on. This is kind of the brief. And those two things multiplied together are going to give you your daily burned calories, a guesstimate of your daily burned calories. And so we burn a certain amount of energy in calories. It's a measure of energy. It's actually a measure of how much heat it takes to heat up a certain amount of water in bodily functioning each day. And therefore, if you eat under the calories that you burned, the difference will be made up by fat on your own body, okay? And if you eat over the calories that you needed on that day, you'll burn them off as energy. You might do that. You might pass them through, right? Let's say I eat a lot of extra protein and I don't take it all in, absorb it all. I might pee some of it out, the amino acids. I might excrete it out other ways. Or you might put those calories on as weight. Okay, especially if the body feels like it's in some type of stress, or if just think about animals getting ready for hibernation or something like that. If the hormones are signaling to the body that it needs to put on weight for a future thing, the body might put on those extra calories as weight. Okay, if we don't use them. So the easiest thing to do is going to be to find the spot where I'm burning exactly as many calories as I need on a given day, okay, or as much as I'm eating. That's going to keep us a level, okay. Going to be our maintenance calories. So those are your daily burned calories. And there are also hormonal and functional factors involved with this process. So if your hormones are telling you to retain weight, let's think of like a thyroid issue, that could make you retain weight even though you're getting the right numbers. So that can be a real thing, and that's going to be a doctor level issue that you need to overcome. There are also functional factors. So if my body can't pass through food, or if I have a small stomach, or some other physical issue with using the food, either I want to stay away from that food, or I might have to diet it a little bit different of a way, okay? But typically, if you responsibly construct your diet with certain interventions, like you cycle or you're fasting at some point in time so that your body can clear itself out, you can help your body to heal and fix most general issues, okay? If you listen to it, listen to your body and see how it responds to things. And certain foods are bad for some folks and not others, but more on that later. Following the headings for each piece of your equation, following this section will help you to get to what you need that will take care of most general things, okay? So, number one thing, we're talking about those daily burn calories. That's the number one thing we're going to figure out. Number two, we're going to talk about the 3 different types of fuel or macros that your body runs on, okay, in certain proportions depending on your activity. And so these are in numbered order of importance to health, what those are. Third most important are going to be your carbs. And these are fast energy in the case of sugars, or slightly longer burning clean energy in the form of complex carbs, okay? Now, if certain foods don't work for you, tomatoes, nightshade vegetables don't work for certain folks. They're very inflammatory to their systems. Gluten and often wheat nowadays, different from the wheat that our ancestors ate, might have more gluten in it as well. It might be slightly inflammatory. So those might be something that we stay away from, some people. But by all means, test certain types of foods, see if they work for you, see if they don't. But just the way that we can think about carbs is as like a spark or a fire, right? So if we think of the body as a machine, there are pieces that are used to put that together, the machine together, like weld the pieces together. Carbs, okay? Easy energy. They can be used to put your body together, to repair it. And then also you could think of it as a flame. So like you could run off of it like a furnace, like it produces energy. This is good for working out, right? So you want to eat carbs around when you work out, hence Gatorade, other sugary sports drinks. That's a lot of energy at one time. So that's good for working out, and actually protects your muscle from breaking down because your body has the energy that it needs. So it doesn't have to take from itself, right? So second, fats. Fats are going to be the second most important thing when it comes to your macromolecules. And fats are slow burning energy. slow burning energy source. They make up all your hormones in your body, and they also make up the membranes of cells and sliding surfaces in the body. So you can think of fats as oils, okay? Except you use part of the oil for energy as well. It's actually a clean burning energy. So it's like a clean burning energy source, so kind of like fuel, and then kind of like oil, okay? Keeps everything lubricated. It also takes messages from one part of the body to the other parts of the body, right? So you need fats to be healthy, okay? You really should have all of these things, but there are dietary interventions that are like more fats, less carbs. But carbs and fats are two types of energy, okay? I want you to think of them as energy. Fats just have extra health component. You also need carbs to take in certain vitamins. You also need fats to take in certain vitamins. Fat soluble vitamins A, D, K, E as well. To take those in, you have to have fats in your diet. So you've got some fats on your body, of course, but you can also get those fats in your diet. So if you're taking a multivitamin and you don't take any fats in that meal, you're not going to take in the fat soluble vitamins as well as if you would with vitamins. Take it in with some fats, right? And then your protein, okay? Proteins are number one, and the reason for this is they're responsible for your muscle and function, okay? Proteins help to make DNA. You need your DNA. Reason number one. Reason number two, more muscle mass percentage-wise of the body is going to make you healthier, more resistant to sickness. It's going to cost you more energy to live if you have more muscle mass on you, but because your body is burning more, it's going to burn a little bit hotter, and it can burn through other issues a little bit quicker, right? And then worst case scenario, if your body doesn't have energy for a while, it's got a lot of muscle mass to eat off of. It's not going to do that within like 16 hours. It's not going to bias eating your muscle. But all that to say, protein is like the machinery, okay? So if we talk about the body is a machine, the parts are the protein, the fats are the oil and a type of fuel, and then carbs are more like that fast, like really hot flame, okay? That's an easy way to think about those three different types, and we'll go into how we determine how much of those we need later on, okay? The third thing that you need to know, so let's just recap. Number one is going to be your daily burn calories. Number two is going to be your three types of fuel, your carbs, fats, and proteins. And we'll do that in reverse order later on, determine how much of those you need. And then you also need vitamins and minerals, okay? So you can basically eat whole, diverse, quality, responsibly sourced foods, and that'll take care of most of it. Let's say you eat a wide variety of vegetables, okay? You eat the rainbow, you eat purple vegetables, you eat green vegetables, like dark leafy green vegetables, you eat red vegetables, you eat yellow vegetables, you eat, blueberries, you eat apples, you eat bananas, like you eat a wide variety of foods. Your body gets a diversity of colors, which are usually indicative of vitamins in the food, right? So the darker the food, like a black bean or a blueberry or like a deep leafy green is gonna have a lot more vitamins in it than like your white bread. Okay, that is almost exclusively energy. It has almost no vitamins other than vitamins that are put in it, right? So when you eat that, it's so much energy at one time. What does your body do? It has to store it as fat. It doesn't know what else to do unless you're about to move a lot, right? So like let's say I just got through my first half of a football game and then I have some Gatorade. Well, what's your body going to do with that energy? Well, it's got a lot of other signals going on in the body, so it can tell that energy to help out the muscle recover or to stay in the muscle for future use or other things like that. It's got other options rather than just being stored as fat. But if you eat the right amount of vitamins, you get your daily allotted amounts. And those are minimums, by the way. Like you could do with a lot more vitamin C, and that might be okay for you, actually helpful for you, especially if you're sick. Other animals in the animal kingdom make vitamin C. We don't. Fruit bats don't. We need to get vitamin C from other sources. Very important, very important. But vitamins are important. And then also your trace minerals. So I often talk to people about water being from rivers or from groundwater. And so thousands of years ago, when humans would get water, it would automatically have these pieces of rock in it. Okay, minerals. Nowadays, we've got water filtration systems. I've got an awesome reverse osmosis filtration system, but it takes everything out of the water. So it's just water. I have zero trace minerals in there, so I actually use some salt, some pink Himalayan salt, put a couple of dashes in there. It's a turn, it kind of breaks it up. But like 4 dashes of that and like 8 ounces of water. Just a little bit of salt goes a long way because your body needs those pieces too. These are all like cofactors for the body. The body needs a salt gradient so that it can pass electrical signals, so it can pass hormones from one spot to another, to cause osmosis, to cause flow throughout the body. These are all key, okay? Generally, we need to eat broadly, okay? I like eat whole foods, eat diversely, so multiple colored foods, okay? Eat quality foods. So I'm going to bias eating actual meat over eating my a protein shake. It's going to come with more cofactors. It's going to have more vitamins. Protein shakes are good in a pinch. Like it's hard to get all the protein that you need. Liquid calories go down easy, but at the same time, it's not going to be as good for me as a grass-fed, grass-finished steak or burger or some wild caught fish. And that comes in the responsibly sourced. If the animal got fed a lot of grain, they would have been really tense and like have a bad actually lipid profile. They have a bad fat profile. Their hormones are crazy and through the roof. And then we eat that, and you eat really stressed animal meat, and then that's going to yield a lot of stress hormones in your body as well. Versus a cow that was pasture raised and got to wander a little bit and was fed grass its whole life, kind of had its own healthy way of life. That's going to be a much more healthy food to eat. Same way with fish. If they're farmed, it's going to be worse fats. If they were wild caught, it's going to be better fats. All that type of stuff. It all plays a role. It's less of a role than just the right amounts, and specifically like the amount of protein. And your body can clean itself to an extent, but you can also hurt your body by eating bad quality food. So just something to keep in mind. There may be more nuanced issues with your diet that have to do more with the quality of food than the quantity of food. So you can make equal gains doing the quantity right and doing the quality right. Those are both important. Okay, so those are your 3 things. Quick recap. 3 things are daily burned calories, figuring that out. Knowing something about your carbs, fats, and proteins and what those do, different pieces, and then knowing that you need vitamins and minerals. Okay, that's going to cover a lot. There are more things like probiotics, antioxidants. Like you can dive really deep if you want to, but just kind of if we're going for quick and we're going to reverse engineer this anyway, then that'll work. Okay, those 3. So now we're going to go on to the lowest hanging fruit diet plan. This is a general way to determine the amount you should eat. And I'm going to use a case study of Johnny. Okay, his goal, let's say he weighs 200 pounds and he wants to weigh 180 pounds. That would be a good, healthy weight for him. So that's the weight that we're going to use for Johnny. He's going to kind of be our example. Okay, so your basal metabolic rate and how to calculate that and why. So your goal weight, your basal metabolic rate is going to equal your goal weight times the multiplication factor. It's going to be approximately your basal metabolic rate. So multiplication factors work this way. They'll be 10 for men, and just regular weight men at your goal weight. If you have a lot of muscle, like I have a decent amount of muscle for my size, I lift barbells that are over my body weight pretty regularly. I'm going to use an 11. Okay, my actual BMR is, I weigh about 180, and my actual BMR is like 1950. If I use that an 11, it gets me to 1980, which is within 30 calories. It's like a piece of chocolate this big. So it's pretty close, okay? And I would determine if that caused me to gain weight, I would take it down or something like that. So that works pretty well. And then we're going to use a 9 if you're an untrained male, or you have low muscle mass and low activity. So if you're not moving a lot, you might use a 9. If you're just regular, if you move pretty continuously throughout the day, like you go to work and you stand up a general amount, 10's fine. Okay. And we're going to use 9 for females. So your weight times 9. And that's because females generally carry a little bit more fat. Fat is needed for health, and especially for reproductive stuff and hormonal stuff, which women have different than men. And with that, if you are athletic and you have a decent amount of muscle mass for a woman, we're going to go with 10 as that multiplication factor, and then 8 if you're untrained or you have low muscle mass and low activity. It's going to get you relatively close, but like I said before, we can reverse engineer that. So for example, Johnny, let's say he's 32, has a goal weight of 180 pounds as a man, and so we're going to use that times 10, and so his relative BMR is going to be 1800. Okay, 180 times 10, 1800. So BMR is your basal metabolic rate. If you were awake but like bedridden all day, this is the approximate amount of energy that you would take to remain the same weight, okay? To equal the amount that you burned over the course of the day just to be alive and do basic functions, heart beating, breathing, your body cleansing itself, and burning the energy that it needs to live over the course of the day. And so this is a rough estimate and is impacted largely by muscle mass. If you're an athlete, add 1 to the multiplication factor as written above. Okay. So your activity factor is that second piece to finding that daily caloric intake. And here's how to calculate it and why. So generally speaking, your BMR accounts for about 70% of your daily calories. That leaves 30% coming from 3 different things: your thermic effect of food, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, okay, the heat made of your non-exercise activity, we call that your NEAT, and your EAT, your exercise activity thermogenesis. So the thermic effect of food counts for 10% roughly, and so that's how much energy you burn to digest the food that you eat. And here's a hack for that: if you increase the amount of whole food that you eat, it's going to take more to digest it, right? So you're going to have to burn more energy to digest that food. So if you eat vegetables, you get a double whammy because it's a lot of food, but it's not very calorie dense because there's got a lot of fiber in the food, which you don't really break down. And so it's harder for that food to break down, and they don't have a lot of calories. So like broccoli, right, versus some pasta. The pasta is going to break down really quick. The broccoli is going to break down a lot slower. It's going to have fiber in there. It's going to kind of knock around in my colon and knock stuff out, as well as keep in the good, like that dark green vitamins, let's say folate, a lot of B vitamins in your broccoli. It's going to take more energy to digest, so it's going to burn hotter. And on top of that, if you increase protein, that burns the hottest out of your macromolecules. So if you're trying to lose weight, upping your protein a little bit in each meal, so making sure you get protein in each meal, is going to help you to burn more weight just by digesting food that you're already doing. So that's a little hack there. Use some protein or eat more whole foods. If your digestive system can take it. Okay, this is another reason to talk to your doctor. There's also your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So this accounts for your regular activity. We'll call this relatively 5,000 steps. Okay, if you go over that, we're going to talk in your activity factor about how you increase that. So you're going to burn more energy if you walk more than 5,000 steps than if you only walk 5,000 steps, right? And then third, you got your exercise activity thermogenesis. So this accounts for about a 1-hour workout, your warm up, and then about half an hour of running or high intensity interval training or biking, etc., and then a cool down. Okay, that would be about 10%. Now, if you worked out more than that, it's going to be more than that. And this is how that plays out in the activity factors down below. So you're going to multiply your basal metabolic rate by 1.1 if you basically had a sedentary day. So you're vegging out, like binge watching TV. You might multiply your basal metabolic rate by 1.1. That's going to be 10% over that because you didn't really move. So you might not have a big NEAT, right? Your non-exercise activity thermogenesis. You might not have exercise at all. You may have ate some food, but that was it. And so that would be a 1.1, okay? 1.2 would be like you went to work or you did household chores, or maybe you did both, some of both, but no workouts. Let's say you got about 5,000 steps. That would be 1.2. That would be your NEAT plus your eating your food and the thermogenesis of that, right? So 20%, 1.2. You're going to go 1.3 as an activity factor. If you went to work and you did household chores and you did an hour-long workout, or you did an Iron Tribe workout, right? They're 45 minutes, but you're working out for 23 or so, and then a lot of people cool down afterwards. But we're gonna burn maybe 200 to 300 calories during that time, or about 10% of most people's calories over the course of a day. And let's remember, we're going off of body weight, so if I weigh less and I'm doing a bunch of cardio with my body, I'm not gonna burn as much. Like if I weigh 120 pounds, I'm not going to burn as much moving my body the same amount as someone that weighs 200 pounds. They're going to burn more calories, but it's all going to be proportional, which is why we're doing that activity factor, right? 1.3 or so. 1.4 is like you work and do chores, and maybe you're doing 3 10-minute walks a day, so you're getting 30 minutes of work there, and then you're also doing a workout, so you're getting some extra work in. You're going to raise the amount of calories that you're burning over the course of a day. And then you've also got your 1.5 if you're just increasing that a lot. This would be like all the above plus a heavy training day. Okay, so like instead of just a regular training, maybe you're in a perform group at an Iron Tribe and you're working out for like a full hour with a barbell, or you're a runner and you're running like a mile or an hour and a half, like a longer run. You're training for like a half marathon or a marathon or something, and that's your longer run day, like on a Saturday. You're gonna need more calories there than if you were just doing the same regular workout, right? And so as you can see, this will all add calories in about 10% increments of the calories your body regularly burns. And yes, this means you burn more calories on days that you are more active. That makes sense, right? You're creating energy and using energy. And so the hack here is use increased activity to burn more calories. Walks are a great way to do this without beating up the body too much. Right? If you're going to have multiple weightlifting sessions in a day, you might break down a lot of muscle, which would be counterintuitive to gaining muscle or keeping the muscle that you have while you're trying to lose fat. Right? So there's going to be a happy medium there. Hence why the reverse engineering is really important. Okay? So moving on, daily burn calories. Here's an example of how Johnny would figure that out. So here's Johnny's final equation for total energy burned on a non-workout day. So he's 180 pounds. He's using his multiplied by 10, his male multiplication factor, 1,800 basal metabolic rate, calories over the course of a day. And so he's going to take that and multiply it by 1.2, because let's say on Tuesday and Thursday he's getting up and he's going to work and he's coming back home. He's got to clean some dishes. He's got to cook a dinner. He's got to clean up after the dog or the kids or whatever else. Like there's some movement in there, right? So he's going to use 1.2, and he's going to get 2160 is what that multiplies out to. And here's how it would work on a workout day. So on a workout day, let's say on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, he goes to the gym. He's going to work out for about an hour. So he's going to increase that another 10% for that exercise activity thermogenesis. So that 1,800 times 1.3 is going to be 2,340 calories over the course of that day. Now, what do we do with this information? Well, it depends on what your goals are, right? So if you are trying to lose weight, there's something you should know, and it's that a pound of fat holds 3,500 calories. This is efficient for us because if we divide 3,500 by 7 days a week, we get 500 a day. If I'm 500 calories low a day, I should lose or be low 3,500 calories. So my body literally has to take that off of my body fat. Right? So on non-workout days, he's going to take that 2160 minus 500, and he's going to get 1660 calories as a goal for fat loss, okay? And that's total energy. So we're still talking total energy. We'll get into the macros here in a second. But total energy on his workout day, if he's trying to lose weight and he's on his diet that day, he's going to aim for 1660 because that's 500 calories low. Now, that is just an ad hoc number. We'll get into their minimum amounts of protein and fats that we need on a pretty general basis to keep up our muscle mass and to have enough fats for health. Okay, carbs are the only thing, because we store fats on our body ourselves. to run off of that energy if we need to. So body would prefer to have fat in a pinch. And so we need to feed it fat. But carbs can kind of be toyed around with. If the body needs quick energy, it can make it out of other things. We call this gluconeogenesis. It's a process the body can go through to create carbs. But if you're going to do an intense workout, you're going to want some carbs. So it all kinds. If you wanted to lose fat quicker, you could go lower on calories. But the reality is you can only go so low for so long before the body will down-regulate your BMR. Okay, that's getting kind of advanced. But all that to say, your body adapts to a diet over time. So you want to make sure that you are doing, going, ebbing, and flowing in your maintenance as you need to. Okay. So then Johnny's calories on a workout day are going to increase, right? Because he burns about 2340 on a workout day, about 10% more. And so he's going to minus 500 from that, and that's going to be a different number, 1840. And you're going to see here in a second, he gets more calories, 1840 on a workout day, 1660 on a non-workout day. And I'm going to suggest that you use that in carbs around your workout so that you can fuel that energy when you need that energy. That makes sense. Why would you give your body energy at a time when you didn't need it? That would be silly. There are interventions. There's like fasted working out where you can do like lower intensity stuff. There are other more advanced ways to diet, but generally speaking, this is going to work well, and I've seen it work well. So this way, Johnny can lose weight, but get a little bit more energy on those workout days because he needs it on the workout days. He's trying to lift heavy. Johnny's trying to stay strong, So here's the hack is to time your eating around your workout or around when you get hungry. I have a lot of clients that say, I'm just not hungry in the morning. I just don't feel the need to eat. And then I ask them, why would you eat when you don't feel the need to eat, especially if you're trying to lose weight? That doesn't make any sense. Don't eat if you don't feel like you need to eat. Your body's telling you something. But also consider eating the right amounts is the biggest key here. But if you know you're going to be really hungry, save some food for that time, right? Maybe the end of the day, maybe later on in the afternoon. I know a lot of people that get hungry in the afternoon. They're like, it's such a long time in between lunch and dinner. What if you ate your breakfast calories then? That might work. That might work to offset that so that you can stay within kind of your calorie budget. So if Johnny wanted to gain weight or muscle, he can increase his activity factor by 0.1 to 0.3. Okay, that's basically raising the calories you're giving yourself in a day by 10 to 30%. Right? You could up those, and when you would up those, you would have an overage, an over amount of calories, and that would allow your body to put on weight, right? Now it's kind of different. To lose weight, you kind of trick the body into losing weight. To gain weight, you actually need to get the body to trust that it's going to have the energy. So like at the beginning of a fat loss phase, you're going to lose more, whereas at the beginning of a gaining phase, you might not gain as much because the body doesn't really believe or hasn't really upregulated how much it's burning. So it takes a little bit longer to kick in if you're trying to gain weight. Okay, and you therefore gain at a slower rate than you would have the ability to lose, pretty generally. Okay, depending on the type of body. If you really put on weight fast, you might be one of those people, right? So now, how to turn these numbers into food on a plate, because it's cool to have these numbers, but I need to know how much of what I'm eating, right? So the answer is to divide these calories up in this order. You want to divide it into proteins, fats, and then carbs. Proteins first, okay? Protein factors, as I've read multiple diet books, and they kind of cohere around these numbers. So this is the reason that I suggest these. But again, reverse engineer your diet. So especially if you have access to an InBody, that's going to tell you how your muscle mass has been doing. So if your muscle mass has been going up and that's what you want it to do, then you know you're eating enough protein. Or if it's staying consistent, you know you're eating enough protein. But if it's going down, you're probably not eating enough protein for the activity that you're doing. So make sure that your muscle mass, if you're tracking it, stays consistent or goes up. Right, that's what we're looking for. If that's what you're looking for, right? Some people are just trying to slim down, period, and aren't so concerned with that. Up to you. So with that in mind, 0.8 grams per pound is generally good for muscle gain or sustaining your muscle mass in populations under 35 when you're trying to lose weight. Okay, that is enough. Now you can raise that, right? We already talked about how protein burns hot, so it's going to help you lose weight and build a little bit more muscle. But it's also difficult to break down, so you want to split up your protein into like 4 or 5 meals over the course of the day, at least 2 hours apart. But let's say Johnny's example of this. He's going to take that 0.8. That's good for him. He is going to multiply that by 180 pounds. He's going to get 144 grams. Okay, now a gram of protein has 4 calories of energy, and so you're going to multiply that by 4, and that's going to give you the calories to find out either what percentage. So it's going to be 576 calories, 144 times 4. And if you divide 576 by 1660, let's say, it's going to give you the percentage of that over the course of the day. So if you're using MyFitnessPal, that might be a way to find that percentage, is divide the calories by the total calories over the day to find that percentage if you need to go from that. Okay. Moving on to fats for health. 0.3, 30% of your body weight is going to be what you need for good health. You can up that, especially if I've got surgeons that I work with. I've got people that need to be like on for a long time and focused. And fats are a good source of food for that. So think nuts and seeds, think some good olive oil, stuff like that. So our friend Johnny's going to take that 0.3, multiply 180 by that. It's going to get 54 grams. He's going to multiply that by 9 calories per gram because fat has a lot of energy per gram, 9 calories. And he's going to yield 486 calories. If you wanted to find the percent, you divide 486 by, on a non-training day, that's 1660, right? And that's going to give him the percent of that. And the hack with this, and it's also kind of a warning, is that the quality and responsible sourcing matter when it comes to fats. Okay? You want to dodge superheated oils. You want to dodge processed meat if possible, processed butter, processed things with fat in it, because likely the fats are overheated, or in animal products they were really stressed, right? Factory made meat, probably grain finished, and in that case, those cows were engorged before they were slaughtered for the food, and that's not healthy for them. It's not healthy for the environment. There's a lot of ways to go down that path talking about that. But all that to say, a grass raised and grass finished beef is going to have a better lipid profile than other more stressed animal products. And the other thing is you don't want polyunsaturated light colored oils because those have been like superheated and they're really ready to break down. So it's like so much energy at one time. So just watch out for that. You do want to eat olive oil, coconut oil, grass-fed butters, grass-fed and finished meats as well have better fat profiles. Wild-caught fish have better fat profiles. And on that olive oil too, olive oil can be cut with stuff. You want the darker colored stuff. The olive oil should be spicy when you taste it. One more, avocados, nuts and seeds, like we've been saying. The more natural the food, the more of the cofactors it's going to come with, the more health components it's going to have. So by all means, test the oils that work for you, the fats that work for you, but those are a list of some good ones. You can look online. You'll probably find some really good resources. You may look into an omega-3 fish oil or krill oil supplement if you do not eat a lot of fish also. So check with a doctor, and you don't need much omega-3s, 1 gram to 3 grams per day max. And so make sure, especially if you're taking medication, you check with the doctor before going on an omega-3 supplement. Okay. So you find this number and determine these calories. So Johnny did that and be 486 calories, 54 grams. Okay. And then last, you're going to figure out your carbs, and you're basically going to fill in your remaining calories after healthy numbers are reached for your proteins and your fats. The way that you're going to do this is take the total amount of calories for the day and minus calories of fat and calories of protein, right? It'll yield calories left, and then you're going to divide that by 4 calories per gram, because carbs as well as proteins have 4 calories per gram. Fats have 9 calories per gram. And so here's how Johnny's numbers play out, his macros play out. On a non-workout day, they would look like this. He had 1,660 calories. His protein was 144 grams. That's 576 calories. His fat was 54 grams, 486 calories. And then his carbs that we determined in that math above that is going to be 149.5 or 598 calories on his non-workout days. On his workout days, those carbs are going to increase, right? Because his fat's staying the same, his protein's staying the same, because those are enough for his health with what he's doing. So then his carbs are going to differ, and specifically, remember, we're going to have those carbs around the workout to fuel that workout. So you can see once you figure out how much protein and fats the body needs for health, then you can determine the amount of energy that are needed for that activity, okay? And just that note, remember, for more long-term consistent energy, you can up some fats. So like bulletproof coffee has been something I've been toying around with. I have about 30 grams of fat in my coffee in the morning that I blend up, and I like that for a couple of hours. That'll last me 3 hours about, and if I need to go coach early in the morning, about 5 a.m., I have to be there and I have to be performing for then 2 hours and 15 minutes where I'm doing 3 classes in a row. And then once that's done, I can eat more food. But I need to be there for that time. So for those 2.5 hours, I need to be running, and it's easier to do that for me on some fats. So that's an example of doing that. You can kind of play around with the fats and the carbs just as long as you hit those calories, okay? Number 1, the calories that you need to figure out is going to be your daily caloric, how much you burn every day, and then minus calories if you're trying to lose weight, or increase calories from that basal metabolic rate if you're trying to gain weight, okay? And then also your activity factor is going to help determine that. Then your proteins, figure out your proteins, okay? 0.8, it's a good one to go by. Fats, 0.3, good one to go by. Carbs, fill in the rest of those calories. And then number 3, make sure you're getting your vitamins and minerals. If you're eating a lot of whole foods, you'll likely do that. But please take this information, learn from it, like discover a little bit about yourself. Please track what you eat so you can tell how it makes you feel. And then you can use that and your energy levels to determine whether that's something that's good for you, not so good for you. And over time, you're going to be able to determine a more perfect diet for yourself. And eventually, you'll take steps down that path to mastering your own diet. So I hope you guys can use the information here. Check that document out on agewellblog.com if you haven't yet. You can also follow me on Instagram under CJ_Castle or agewellblog on Instagram. And so I hope to hear some more from you guys about if this helped or not. If you need any other information, please hit me up on one of those social medias, or put it in the comments here, and I'll try and get back to that as soon as I can. Until then, I'm with agewellblog.com. My name is CJ Castle. My mission in life is to empower, encourage, and educate whole humans to live happy, healthy, and humble lives. And I think you can do that. Take steps towards doing that by bettering yourself 1% each day, whether that's physically, mentally, or spiritually, however you're getting better. So I hope you can take this information, learn how to reverse engineer the diet this way, so then you can start doing that with other things, with maybe your finances, with maybe your purpose in life. Like I thought this was what I wanted to do, but maybe it's not anymore. Lean into those things, right, that give you energy and that feed you back in a positive way, and then go and bless the world with the blessings that you've figured out, that you've been given. And thanks, Iron Trap, for that. And you guys have a blessed week. Hope you learn from this. Let me know. Talk to you again soon.